This morning when I woke up, I had two questions burning inside me. It was like a fire in my stomach that just needed answers. One was, are there any good Zelda knockoff games? Games like Zelda that I can go and play and have a Zelda amount of fun without actually playing a Zelda title. And the second question was, what are these weird stains on the front of my shirt? I can get when they're like off to the side here because it's usually deodorant that gets rubbed down, but on the middle, I don't put deodorant in my belly. But leaving that question for another video, let's do the Zelda one. This is my list of 5 Zelda-like games that are really fun, and if you guys like Zelda, you'll probably enjoy these games as well. Now let's start this list with a game that's a lot like the very first Zelda game on the NES, and that's 3D Dot Heroes. Now I'm not sure if this game has become more publicly known of late, but as far as I'm concerned, this game has always been a massive hidden gem. It pays homage to old school Zelda. In fact, it pays homage to old school 8-bit games in general, but while bringing so much new and interesting content to the table to keep this game fresh now, almost half a decade later after it was released. Probably my favorite part about the game, other than the fact that it feels like I'm playing Zelda in 3D, is the way the enemies explode into their own pixels when you kill them. It's really satisfying every single time. And if you love old school retro game music, this is the game for you. It has awesome music and sound effects that will definitely throw you back to the 8-bit era. It even gets just as annoying in its own charming way of the same repetitive beats again and again and again, which I can see some people maybe finding annoying, but it kind of really adds to the charm. Just like that original NES Zelda, this game doesn't hold your hand. It just gives you the game and you just have to figure it out for yourself. It can get pretty hard at times in the sense of getting lost and having no clue what to do. But hey, you clicked on this video because you wanted games like Zelda. That's Zelda. I can't wait to get all the comments down below. That's just the word Zelda, but spelt with an ER at the end. That's why I started calling it Zeldies. Now next up I have a game called Yonder, which was released for PlayStation 4 and Windows. This game is so much like Breath of the Wild and Wind Waker in both its graphical style, but also in the sense of Breath of the Wild, where it's this huge open world type exploration game where you really have this sense of just going out there and collecting a bunch of materials in this open world and exploring it and finding secrets. The only thing that it really lacks to make it like Zelda games is combat, and we'll get to that in a minute. The few things that really stood out to me with this game is, one, it has really nice lighting in the game. I really do love great lighting. Lighting can take a good looking game and make it a great looking game, and that's exactly what it does in this game. The next is the music, and the sound design is absolutely incredible. There are some places where you'll go through like caves, and just the echoing of the caves with your footsteps and the surrounding ambient music combined with that lighting and just the general huge scope of the world. And when you combine that with big open areas and all these different creatures and places to explore, that all adds into the experience. It really helps to create the feeling of an amazing, deep, rich world. So in this game, you craft, collect, and explore just like Breath of the Wild, but as I said, there's no combat and there's also no puzzle solving, so it definitely feels like it's lacking something, almost like it's missing something. But if you're looking for a relaxing collectathon, mindless fun type game where you can just get lost and engrossed in this world, but overall it's a really enjoyable experience, and it's a little bit different. It's something a little bit different for this list, which is another reason why I wanted to put it on. It's not always about action, kung fu fighting, kicking ass, but that is the funnest stuff. And if that cutscene alone doesn't sell you on this game, I don't know what will, but let me try and convince you to play this anyway. So advantages this game has on old school Zelda games is it's much more faster paced with amazing animation. The animation is absolutely incredible. Bright, stunning visuals, a series of amazing pixel art, pixel paintings just brought to life and animated in such a spectacular way that almost takes my breath away. Like, I hate saying that expression because I've never actually had anything to make me go, but words to that effect, it really almost does. It is absolutely gorgeous, and I just love staring at this game. The next thing I really love about the game is the story. It has a really great story. I think, because it's a story that you kind of just have to interpret for yourself. It's a story that's given to you without words. It's a story that's given to you in cutscenes and storyboards, and through the gameplay and just images, and you build this story for yourself, your own interpretation of it, and it can really mean whatever you want it to mean. It can really be whatever you want it to be, or it could just be you trying to figure out what they meant behind the story. But they do it in such a way that is just captivating the whole time you play. But apart from all of those selling points, which are my favorite parts about the game, I can't discredit the gameplay because the gameplay is just as on point. It's just so overshadowed by how beautiful the game is, but it's equally as good, if that makes sense. The gameplay is fast and fluid, it controls really well, it has so many upgrades, it has so much depth to the gameplay. You can actually play this game as simply as you want to play it. You don't even have to upgrade anything if you don't want, and you can probably still make it through the game pretty well. Or you can upgrade to holy hell and just become a non-stop kicking ass machine with all these different dashing abilities and blocking and deflecting. Dive into the gameplay and flesh it out more is definitely rewarding. And as you'd expect, the bosses are also really cool, animated really well and fun to play. It's just an all-round great game. If I was developing this game, I don't know what I could have done at this point to make it any better. It's a really fun game. Next up, we have a game that I've talked about fairly recently on the channel in a video about games for the Nintendo eShop, I'm pretty sure. So I'm not going to talk about it in too much detail right now. And if you want to hear more about my opinion on this game, I recommend watching that video. I'll leave a link at the end of this video, I guess. And that game is Oceanhorn. Initially, this game was released on OS and Android, later on being released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PlayStation Vita, and the Nintendo Switch. So clearly it's an enjoyable game to get that many ports from a mobile device. But what makes this game so great? Well, it's Wind Waker, and we all love Wind Waker, so of course this game's going to be great. Now, it's a dulled down, dumbed down Wind Waker. It's not nearly as fleshed out, doesn't have nearly a greater story, not nearly enough things to do or things to explore. In fact, even the ocean level boat parts, you are on a linear path and you can't even control them. But everything it took from Wind Waker, did it well, replicated it well into this short little game, awesome, cute little package. If it wasn't for being compared to Wind Waker, I wouldn't have anything bad to say about it. In fact, I don't really have anything bad to say about it. It's just not as good as Wind Waker. But the one advantage that it does have, really, is Wind Waker is huge. It's massive. You can't really just sit down for an hour and smash out Wind Waker. I mean, you can, but you probably wouldn't get much accomplished. You'd probably end up just sailing around, trying to explore some islands, and you wouldn't really make any dent in the game. Whereas this is, if you're out waiting in a doctor's office on your Switch, or if you're at home and you just want to smash some gameplay out for 10 minutes, you can actually make a lot of progress in this game. It's really easy to pick up and play, and it's fun. It is a good game. It absolutely is. Wind Waker's better, but I mean, of course it is. It's Zeldies. Now, if I was straight up making a list of 5 Zelda knockoff games, which I guess I am, so that was a weird way to word that, I would put Rime next, because Rime is so much like Breath of the Wild in its style and its feel, and the fact that it's going to be on Switch very soon. But I've already talked about that game, and I've already talked about Oceanhorn, so I didn't want to put another game that I'd already talked about. So I'm going to give Rime an honorable mention. It's a great Zelda-esque-like game that probably would be on this list if I hadn't already talked about it, but I have. Putting that aside, I want to talk about a game that actually I hold fairly close to my heart, for a game that I enjoy and I love so much, and it's definitely my favorite game on this list. That game is Bastion. Bastion was released on Windows, it's on Steam, it's on Xbox 360, Xbox One, OS, PlayStation 4, PlayStation Vita, so it's on everything as well. Now, one could argue this game is least like Zelda compared to any other game on the list, but it's still is very Zelda-esque, and I did have the honorable mention of Rime, which is technically 5, so I feel pretty secure going into this list with this one. I think it's a lot like Zelda for a lot of reasons. Back when this game came out, I was definitely more of a mainstream gamer. I wasn't diving into indie titles, I really wasn't buying much stuff on Steam. In fact, I don't even know how this game ended up winding up in my lap, because it wasn't something that I actively looked for back then. But I'm so glad that it did, because I just got completely engrossed in this game, loved this game, and this was one of them games back then that really inspired my love for these kind of games. It was because of this game that I went on and played games like Braid, games like Limbo, just a bunch of other games, like games that are on this list, a bunch of games that I review now in my eShop videos, games that this game almost awakened me to games that weren't just AAA titles or things that I found at GameStop for the Xbox 360 at the time. It was, hey, there are other games out there that are so much fun to play. The biggest selling point of this game, and my favorite thing about this game, is the narration. If you've played this game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Incredible voice acting that really, really helps the game progress.
He sets foot inside one of Zelandia's famous watering holes. Inside's old Rondi, the bartender. The calamity got him before his drinking did.
It's not even a world building element. The narration is the world. The narration creates the game and makes it as awesome as it is. It's fun to play this game, to go around shooting enemies, up blowing enemies, blocking their attacks, trying to time everything right. But while you're doing all of that with this just amazing narration over the top, it comes together and it's like putting peanut butter and jelly on a sandwich. I don't like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because I'm Australian, but if I said Vegemite and butter, y'all might have been disgusted. In this game, you'll never know what's going to happen next because every level is so different to the last level as far as enemies, the challenges you have to face, even just the level layouts and how it all creates itself and builds itself. This game is just cool. This game is like the cool kid at high school. This game is like Clint Eastwood walking into a saloon. This game has just got so much badassery about it. It's hard to explain until you play it. It's just a really, really enjoyable, cool, badass game. I mean, all these games on this list, my 3D Dot Heroes as well, I highly recommend playing, but this is the one. If you take one game away from this video to go and play this one, which is why I wanted to throw it on the list. So that was my list of 5, pretty much 6 Zelda knockoff type games that are actually really fun to play. But what do you guys think? That was really weird. Did you like the games I showed today? Are you gonna go out and play any of them? Have you played any of them? Are there any Zelda-ish like games that I didn't put on the list that maybe I could put on another list later on down the road? Let me know all of that down below. Way too convoluted. Remember to like this video, be subscribed because it makes us best friends. And hey, for the first time in 5 years of having a YouTube channel, and now that I finally hit 70,000 subscribers, what a great time to actually sell some merch. I made a Spreadshirt shop, which you guys don't have to check out. It's just something that I figured I should do because everyone has them, and people ask me about merch and shirts all the time. So there's a link in the description below if you want to check it out. I get a little bit of the revenue from it. I haven't done anything like this before, so I'm not sure how it works exactly, but if you want to support the show and help out, this is a great way to do it. But that's all I'm going to say about it, and don't feel like you have to. But for the love of everything Zeldies, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you in the next video.